All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Choppy Trade Group, and this is your end of day recap for Monday, the 27th of November. Only a couple more trading days of the month of November to go. So we will recap the day's price action as well as some of the movers. Don't forget, today is closing out the last of, if I can find this here someplace. Where did I do with it? There we go. If you go to TribecaTradeGroup.com and the services and products tab, this is the last day of our special pricing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and you can get involved here. We will be changing these prices tomorrow, and they will be going up, much further from that. But I just wanted to give a discount at the end of the year. We won't be having any like special end of year pricing, so you can get involved right there, and I would encourage you to. It's an easy way to check out what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, how we analyze the markets and trade, how we use risk management and basically everything that we do, and then also how we spot relative strength. And we do that earlier than most. So finding new leaders, finding new areas that are showing strength. That's something that we do continuously, right? Finding that trend very early. So let's get to today's price action. It was a little bit of a snoozer. It was a choppy day, which I think that's absolutely fine. I think this market's been kind of going sideways over the last few days, but there's been given the day, there's been some, definitely some trades out there. But overall, the breadth has been a little bit choppy. You can see on the bottom left of your screen, like we did not open up with strong breadth, and it kind of just flatlined, right? Looking at names that were advancing versus declining. You could also kind of just look at the performance for the day. It was quiet. Like Qs ended up going positive, then negative, then positive. Qs finished down 10 basis points, which it's kind of funny because Mondays have been super strong the last 3 months. But again, this month has been nothing short of amazing in terms of performance. So I think it's fine for these indices to be taking a breather at this point. SPY was down 0.2 of a percentage point, and IWM, which was really kind of quiet for the day, didn't really have a lot of volatility or change throughout the session, was down about 1/3 of a percentage point. Bonds had a big day today, by the way, up 1.7%. Two bond auctions today, the 2-year and the 5-year. We'll get another one tomorrow. I think, is that the 10-year? I think it's the 7-year tomorrow. Sorry, I'm forgetting which one it is, and I can bring that up if I can find a free screen. We'll do this. We'll do this for tomorrow. I just want to make sure I'm giving you accurate information. So the government auction today, yes, we had the 2-year, we had the 5-year. Tomorrow we get the 7-year. Right? You'll get T-bills as well at 11:30 tomorrow, and then at 1 o'clock, which is where the longer duration auctions are. So we'll get the 7-year, and then that's it in terms of, there's no 20 or 30-year bond or 10-year bond auction this week. Some of just those middle terms. Also tomorrow, while I have this up, one is we'll give you this information, but really, I think, let me zoom in here because I can't even see that. I'm just kidding. But I really think, if you look at the economics for this week, as I went over in the member video, the PCE deflator, I think, is going to be the most important thing. It could be something else, but it's another gauge of inflation. And in fact, that's the inflation gauge that Powell always says that he prefers over the CPI. So that comes out at the last trading day of the month. That's Thursday. They're looking for 0.1. Again, we'll get a bunch of other data points. Like tomorrow, we get the consumer confidence, which is they're estimating 101. So any of these could jostle the market around a little bit. But my take is that the most important data point will be on Thursday with the PCE deflator, because that is another gauge of inflation. So you could see on your screen, when I talk about breadth, right, we have a measure for this, right, which is on the bottom left of your screen. That's all in yellow. When it's really strong, it's in green. So today, and when it's bad, it's in red. But you could also do the same thing when you look at sectors. Notice that there was more sectors kind of that were that were in the red today. Now there was a comeback, right? I mean, this is sorted percentage change from the open, but you could see there was a decent amount of sectors that finished down over 1%. And the sectors that outperformed were the gold miners, the silver miners, which I don't even have a couple of them on here. I think I have gold miners on here, but here they are up one. Oh, I must have missed this. This should be in green. So I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt here. This was up 1.6%. Must have just missed it there. The silver miners were also up, and there was a couple other small areas. But nice comeback for blockchain stocks or crypto stocks. They were your biggest gainer over the session. Also, steel names were up pretty decently. Right. I know that's not an area that people really jump to, but the name that I like in this group is STLD. That's actually been performing pretty well. I noticed that we had a nice pullback in here. I had tried a trade. I went long here about a week ago. Unfortunately, I did not hold it. But it's been doing very well. And this is a name that I've been long in the TTG trend portfolio, a little bit easier to basically just hold quality names like this. But that makes a nice move. And I do think that that's headed to that 121.70 VPOC. Other than that, so that's kind of the story with the breadth. The second theme of the day was Black Friday, Cyber Monday. AFRM stole the show. AFRM and SHOP, very strong. This was one of our watch list names going into the week. We talked about it on Friday. I think some traders started a position on Friday, and it had a humongous day, up over 12%. I think a lot of traders noticed that the setup might be looking pretty good. And it helped that they were saying that some of the Black Friday sales were just that, like buy now. I say pay never, but buy now, pay later. So where is this thing going to at this point? Like, so if you're in a trade, it's the management that's important in here. And what I noticed is that there is some overhead supply here at 30.50, right? That's a virgin point of control from all the way back in here. Now, case in point, some names, I try to illustrate this as much as possible in my end of day videos, that names can go past, they can go past the virgin point of controls, but sometimes they end up reverting back, right? I actually use them as places to get out of trades. I actually got out of this Melly today, right? Because I put this trade on in here. And I knew that there was some overhead supply up here. So it's not to say that Melly's not going to keep going, but you may see some digestion there. Another one is Apple that we, speaking of virgin point of controls, like here's another situation where Apple just tagged that thing perfectly, right? And then has been digesting, right? So again, that was something that I talked about a week ago. I said that I think that this that the price is headed towards this virgin point of control. It tagged it and has been reverting back. Now, again, I don't think that's like game over for Apple. It's just a logical place to take some short-term profits. And then you're kind of sitting pretty if you do that, right? For instance, if you sold right at this at 192.60, like now you can possibly contemplate, if you really like Apple, to be adding it back. And what I would be watching for this stock, right? Because again, we use the multiple time frame analysis, and you could see that it's hesitating there at the bottom of this week's value area, 190.21. I did not talk about the indices at all today. I just mentioned that they were choppy, but you can kind of see what's going on here on the 1 hour charts. And we can go all the way to the 5-minute chart if you're a day trader. This was just chop for the day, right? We hesitated a couple times there at the top of today's value area, right? Which is kind of like the first step, and strength is to kind of get over that. But you could see for S&P futures and for SPY, we're right in the middle of the value area for the week. Again, where are we deriving that value area? It's based on all of last week's price action, right? So notice that there was a VPOC that was taken out on the highs from last week. I think that was the day after NVIDIA reported, and the market tried to push higher, failed to do so, but not really a major rejection because we haven't really done anything, right? Just sideways digestion. And that's what we saw last week for a holiday shortened week. Also the Qs, right? We actually kind of got to the top of value. Price didn't like that on the first attempt today, right? So, the upside level that I would be watching the Qs is that 391.20. And if we get any downside price action, the first support level to watch for the week is 387.91. I mentioned IWM didn't really do much today. It didn't. It started the day down, but kind of recovered and then didn't do much that after. So all three of these indices are locked inside the value area for the week. So I do think that, these will probably break out one way or another. You don't have to predict. You could use these levels. 179.40, for example, is the one for IWM. And for now, we're kind of locked in that space. We have an interesting week of earnings on our hands, and you can see Zscaler, right? Zscaler, I wanted to talk about this because I think investors, they get confused by this kind of stuff, right? Look at the numbers that Zscaler put in, right? I don't think there's really anything that's really that bad. They said that they fall after year billings forecast disappoints. Okay, but the numbers are really good, right? They beat most of their numbers. EPS 67 versus 29 year over year number. Their estimate was 49, so they beat there. Their revenues, they beat on the revenue side. So yeah, deferred revenue, calculated billings, not buildings, 456 versus estimated 442. So I think they're just, sometimes they write these headlines when they're looking for something. Okay, so why is the stock down on all these good numbers? Well, because it's always depends on what the stock does into earnings, right? It's a much higher bar to jump over if the stock has really run into earnings, and Zscaler definitely has. This whole group has been super strong, right? Look at it, look at it continue to go higher here. So this is going to be a good name to watch, right? And it may not recover all of these losses, but it'll be a buying opportunity, right? And it almost looks a little bit like what NVIDIA did on earnings. Notice it's not getting down to this VPOC. I would definitely be a buyer down here at 174, again, using volume at price, because I think there will be demand there, right? And we might as well talk about NVIDIA too, because that didn't get down to its virgin point of control. Now, level that I would be watching for this name, right? Try to come back, it was fine. It was up 1% today. And I think that was the best of the, I call them the Great Eight because it's a little bit easier than calling them than the Magnificent Seven. I do track them because they're liquid names, right? Even though I track many, many other names, I always want to see what the liquid ones are doing, the ones that everybody's watching. And yeah, the one that I'm really paying attention to is NVIDIA. The rest of them were kind of, not the best names to be watching for the day. But yeah, I would watch this 485.07. Someone mentioned to me on Twitter, if it gets into the value area, will it trigger the bullish 80% rule? It will, but just keep in mind, it has to establish itself. You have to have a closing bar. You kind of have to hang out a little bit, right, before you want to, play that bullish 80% rule, which means I'm going from one side of the value area to the other, provided that price starts either below or above the value area. So we've started the week below. I have my alert set to 485.07, and that's something that I will definitely be watching. A couple other names which were that had Black Friday implications. Walmart is doing a fine little job here. I added some Walmart last week. Not my favorite play out there to be trading Walmart, but I just think it's a good looking setup after a decent decline, right? This is another example of the bar was just set high. This thing ran like crazy into earnings. So it's doing some, consolidation in here, right? We noticed that there was an RSI bullish divergence when it made that low last week, right in here. So I did go long, and it hasn't been a huge winner, but for now I'm sticking with it, and I've taken a little bit of profits on this. Also, Costco was nice today. It kind of stalled a little bit at the previous highs, so don't know if that's a double top yet, but overall this is a nice, after this check back to the top of value area, that's that was a real nice name, a real nice trade, if you're trading on the short term for swing trades. Also, just sticking with the semi names, ENTG is another name that came up on my radar. It's not bad in here. Made a nice little move today. You're seeing a lot of this in some names, consolidation, and we'll see if they can begin to move higher. Notice it's above the value area, not a lot of volume in this name, but watch to see if it could stay above 104.57. Micron saw some calls today, but look at Micron give it back, right? So I started a trade today and I took it off, right? Again, my trading system, my technicals, I favor that over option activity. Everybody's a little bit different. You might do the opposite or something or have your own formula, but I will always wait until I've got, the trigger is active in this this one. So we'll keep that in the back of my mind that there was option activity, right? Notice what happened here with the virgin point of control, right? Just consolidating, right? Move up to here, right? Overhead supply and consolidating. So again, this name may not be done, but at the very least, I got to see it stay above its value area for the week. Otherwise, this is a lower high. So I'll be watching 77.66 tomorrow in Micron. Another name that I thought was interesting today was OLED, right? Not a name that probably a lot of people are talking about, but just really like the chart setup here, right? Notice that it's breaking above its November value area. So as long as you've got a stop here, right, which is 165.80, again, we'll take a look at the 1 hour chart and you're going to see a pretty slim value area in OLED, right? And breaking higher, right? So not a bad look there. Another name that was quite nice today was SYM, had a little bit of an inside day, and performed really well today, up another 13%. You know, this is a pure momentum name, but had good earnings. Here was the little back and fill on Friday, and look at this thing take off. It actually opened up lower, right, and went all the way down to 49 bucks. This thing closed at 58, 59, 58. So if you like momentum, this is a name, and just blasted through that 1 hour VPOC, right? I was quoting this. We were talking about this name on Friday, and I had mentioned I thought it had a chance to get there. Sorry, not Friday, on Wednesday, right? And it didn't. But look at it take this thing out. So if you're looking for an entry point, if this name kind of reverts back, right, and holds in here at this 55.86 level, that might be a place to get involved. What else? I think I kind of covered all the names. PWR is a name that I started today. Again, I'm looking for something different, right? I think that tech and, with all the names that are going to report this week, we've got CrowdStrike that's going to report, you got Snowflake, you've got a bunch of other software names. And I think that you could get similar reactions to what you saw in Zscaler, right? Just names have run up a lot. Intuit is another name that I think is I like this name because if you look at what's going on in H&R Block, which has been ripping since it's talk about a VPOC takeout here and a reversal. There's one right there. But I think that people are going to be very busy having to handle tax issues. So it's going to be tough. Again, I would rather buy this on the dip. If it checks back to 541, that would be wishful thinking, because I think that I don't know if this is going to be the one that pulls back, but certainly a number of other of these names. Okta reports this week. Salesforce reports this week. Again, a lot of semi names and a couple software names in there too. I'm sorry, a lot of software names and a couple semi names. I'm looking at Marvell, which also reports this week too. So I'll leave it there. I think that as we kind of continue to go sideways here, be patient with this market. Tesla's gonna bring out that Cybertruck this week. This is not one of my favorite names, but somebody asked me to give my chart info on this one, and I would not touch this name until it breaks 238.27, right? Notice how methodical it is right now, right? Last week hit that top of value and couldn't do it, and so far this week it hasn't been able to do it so far either. I know it was pumped on Twitter too, but so I would watch 238.27, and take this week easy. Trades, I'll be looking for some things that break out, but just like Micron, if it doesn't fulfill what I'm looking for, make sure that you scrutinize these names, right? And say, hey, if it's not doing what you wanted to do, just take the name off and start from scratch. But overall, I think there's a lot of good looking setups, just need price to kind of cooperate. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.